Battlefield 2042 appears to finally be picking up some steam. There's tons of new players joining right now thanks to the free play events, and I thought it would make a perfect opportunity to do a dive into the best weapons to use in this game. Now, something nice about 2042 is that each weapon category has very viable options, so whether you like sniping, shotgunning, SMGs, marksman rifles, LMGs, or assault rifles, there are good options, and I'll go over what I think are the best for each category. Now, before I get into the specific weapon types, there are some basic tips for just getting weapons ranked up in this game. Some guns are effective from the start and fun to rank up in PvP matches, while others only become good once you get certain attachments unlocked. Going to the main menu, selecting a breakthrough round, and queuing up for a solo match is a very easy way to farm bots and get unlocks for your guns. You can even select the map of your choice. 1 or 2 rounds of this should be enough to get pretty much every attachment you need for a weapon to achieve its full potential. Alright, with that out of the way, let's begin with one of the most versatile and easy to use weapons in the game, the M5A3 assault rifle. With the name and even design basically playing off the classic M4 military rifle, this gun has also become a staple weapon in 2042. It's accurate, has a high rate of fire, is good without unlocks, and gets even better once you have the unlocks to play around with. This is one of the most adaptable weapons in the game, and once you get a bunch of unlocks, you can really mold this gun into exactly what you want. However, now that I've got a variety of weapons to pick from, I like to tune this one into a close to medium range powerhouse. With my setup, I like to use the K8 Hollow, but any red dot will do just fine. Then the Close Combat Mag gives you slightly higher ammo count, but more importantly, a faster rate of fire and better recoil control. Then for underbarrel, I choose the Light Grip for ADS accuracy, and I like to keep the factory barrel installed. You can use the short barrel here if you want to push the rate of fire even further, but I think you lose a little too much accuracy at range when doing so standard gives it the best versatility in my opinion. Now, headshots have a 2.2 multiplier for assault rifles, so when you're close enough to aim for the head, always take that option. If I'm not really sure what I'm walking into combat-wise, grabbing the M5A3 is almost always a safe bet, and from there I can swap weapons if I feel like I need a little bit more range damage or more power in close quarters. Now, on the SMG side of things, these weapons are all pretty much designed for run and gun playstyles. They only get a 25% damage boost for headshots, so it's not really that worth aiming for the head if it causes you to miss more shots in general. These guns are meant for close range and hipfire engagements. Most are highly effective, but the standout in my opinion is the K30 with its base 1099 round per minute rate of fire. Now sadly, this is one of the weapons that needs a bit more grinding before reaching its full potential, but once you get it there, it becomes easy mode. My setup again is the K8 Hollow, again any red dot will do, the 50 round drum magazine, which is the single most important upgrade that will allow the K30 to really shine. Then we have the LS1 laser sight to improve hipfire, as a lot of your kills are going to be from the hip. And finally, I like to run the tactical compensator, but you can also throw on a full suppressor to help keep you off the minimap. It is actually pretty fun to run around with a suppressor, so I suggest trying both options and seeing what you like best. If I'm getting frustrated with my team's ability to break through some hard CQB choke points, I'll grab the K30 and go to work. Now, when it comes to marksman rifles, there is one clear winner in my book, and that is the BSV-M. However, I should say that this is one of the closer range marksman rifles. I think the longer range marksman rifles tend to get outclassed by the sniper rifles for the most part, making them just not really worth using, in my opinion. The BSV-M's strength is versatility, accuracy, and a 2.2 headshot multiplier, making fast kills very easy when shooting precisely. However, this gun kinda sucks until you get all the appropriate unlocks. You might even try it out for the first time and just think that it's not particularly great and move on to something else. Another gripe with the gun is that it starts in semi-auto fire mode at the start of a round, and it's much better in full auto, which gives you more stopping power in close to medium range combat. It's not a huge issue, you just have to remember to swap at least once every time you use the weapon. Also, when plinking a target at distance, you can just tap fire it, so you basically get the semi-auto effect even if it's switched to full auto. For my setup, I prefer to run the TV2X optic, as it's kind of the perfect range that you want to use with this weapon. The ammo, which kind of unlocks the true power of this weapon, is the high-powered extended mag. This will give you enough power and mag size to down multiple targets at range before needing to reload. Again, we have the light grip for ADS accuracy and the short barrel to improve the rate of fire here. This weapon is technically always suppressed, but the short barrel only keeps you off the minimap for long-range targets when firing, so just keep that in mind. If I know that I'm going to be playing against a medium range objective, or the map I'm playing in general has lots of medium range stuff that I'll need to deal with before pushing in closer, the BSV-M is going to be my top pick. It's just so insanely good at medium range, and you can even flank targets very effectively at further ranges. Now before we get into the sniper rifle class, let's talk about shotguns. The utility class of weapons is a little odd as it now contains a crossbow and a railgun, but I'll just break down these class of weapons into shotguns for now. 2042 has been kind of an odd game when it comes to shotguns because the maps and modes feature a lot of extreme engagement ranges with just pockets of close quarter combat. So initially when using shotguns, they feel kind of inappropriate for the game overall. However, the 12M auto really changes that narrative once you get the correct attachments. This thing becomes so easy to use and insanely good at dropping 3 to 4 targets in close quarters. I love using it with Mk4 and just doing drop-in flanks for kills. It's even recently been nerfed in its medium range effectiveness, which I do agree with as it was just too good before, but even so in close quarters, this thing absolutely melts your enemies. For my setup, I stick with the iron sights because, well, it's a shotgun and we're going to be mostly hip firing, plus you don't need that much accuracy. Then we have the buckshot drum magazine, which is going to be absolutely necessary for this gun. It's not going to be anywhere near as fun to use until you get this mag unlocked. For the underbarrel, I use the LS1 laser again for the hip fire, and then I put a short barrel on here to increase the rate of fire. And voila, you have a Swiss cheese machine. This gun is my guilty pleasure. It's, in my opinion, one of the best guns you can use for the amount of skill required to be good with it. That said, it's also pretty much purely a CQB weapon, so the use cases can be more limited. Again, Mk4 can really help to close the distance to your targets here. Also, Pike can be a really good specialist to use with it, as every single pellet that hits a target will give you some spotting points, which will often lead to spotting assists. Alright, let's talk about the sniper rifle category, which just got a bit more complicated with Season 3. The Rorsch Mk4 is technically a utility category weapon, but when configured to use for long range, in my opinion, it outclasses actual sniper rifles themselves. That said, I have heard that this weapon is a little trickier to use on console when compared to PC, and in general, if the charge-up mechanic is just not your jam, a traditional bolt-action rifle may suit your needs a bit more. So I'm actually going to mention both a bolt action and the railgun here. So starting off with the Rorsch Mk4, you can use it as a close range weapon initially with the full auto attachment, but in the semi-auto mode with a 6x optic, this thing turns into a god tier long range weapon. Nearly hit scan speed on the round that you fire, a 20 round magazine, and a highly competitive rate of fire. It is just so easy to get headshots and multi-shot hits on moving targets. I do anticipate a nerf coming at some point for this weapon, though DICE has generally been pretty good with their nerfs in 2042, keeping most weapons fun to use even after the nerf. Now, if railguns aren't your thing and you want a more traditional bolt action that might be a little more versatile in medium or close range situations, the SWS-10 is where it's at. This is your first sniper rifle, and like the M5A3, it's highly versatile. My setup makes it better at long range while still maintaining those quick shot or hip fire abilities as needed. First up, I like running with the 6x scope, then the standard issue extended mag just gives you a silly amount of ammo. It honestly feels unnecessary. It also maintains a good muzzle velocity for hitting long range targets. Optionally, you can put a laser on the underbarrel here if you get surprised in close quarters and need to make a quick shot on someone from the hip, then the long barrel for improved projectile velocity. Now this weapon in my opinion requires a bit more skill than the Rorsch Mk4, but man does it feel good to accurately judge bullet drop and projectile velocity. Also, if you like to quick scope, well then this is your weapon of choice, as the railgun simply can't do that due to the charge up time. The SWS-10 is a high skill, high reward weapon, and really it's only limited by the operator's skill. Now, lastly, we have the LMG category. LMGs have been all over the place regarding their balance in 2042, and there's probably more balance coming soon. That said, currently the Avancys LMG is one of the most fun options to use, and it becomes a real meat grinder once you have the 200 round magazine unlocked. This gun has even seen a slight nerf since it launched, but it's still extremely viable and perfect for when you have a never-ending supply of targets. For my setup, I have the Fusion Hollow, but pick whatever red dot that you prefer, then the standard issue extended mag for 200 rounds of pain, the light grip for ADS accuracy, and I personally like the tactical compensator to improve my accuracy, but if it makes the recoil too hard for you to control, you can always swap it for a different compensator or barrel. Now, machine guns aren't going to give you the run and gun advantage in 2042, but for the patient or methodical player, these fit the bill just fine. Also, they do have acceptable hipfire, so again in close quarter combat, if somebody surprises you, just feel free to hipfire and spray and pray. Now, few other weapons in the game have the ability to drop entire squads of players before needing to reload, so the flank and gank potential on the Avancys is legit. Again, machine guns see their strength when dealing with multiple targets, but if you're up against high-skilled individuals, you may feel a little outclassed when using an LMG. So overall, these are my top weapon recommendations for Battlefield 2042. If you're brand new to the game and not sure how to unlock some of these weapons, go to your collection menu and click on the grayed out weapons for instructions on how to unlock them. I should also mention that just because these are my top picks for 2042 doesn't mean you need to use them. If you pick up an assault rifle, SMG, or whatever that is just really your jam, you're loving it, keep using it. There's a lot of really well balanced guns in this game, so despite these being my top picks and what I think are some of the best in the game, there's a lot that come within a few percentage marks of it or might just fit your playstyle a little bit better. Beyond that, I hope this helps you get started in 2042 or even refine your weapon selection depending on what you've been using. And if you want a deeper dive into the true power of the Rorsch Mk4 railgun, check out this video here. As always guys, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.